So, hey everybody, I'm Anthony Deloney. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives at Self-Enhancement. I have been there for 23 years, a long time. Right? So the story of the numbers is, first of all, an SEI story, in that I've been there, a full-time employee, 23 years, probably 6 or 7 years before that as a kid. So I grew up in North and Northeast Portland, Irvington, Beaumont, Grant, Generals, no Generals? Generals in the house, okay. So I've lived pretty much in the same neighborhood, and I've driven the same route every day to SEI, give or take 5 or 6 blocks for probably 18 of those 23 years. My grandmother passed, who lived over on Cleveland, North Cleveland, and so it was a weird time of reflection, and all of a sudden I was driving and I realized that my neighborhood had changed. The route that I had taken to it changed. And some of the stuff that I had seen before just didn't look the same anymore. You just don't notice that. It's like if you're losing weight or something and you see yourself every day, right? It looks the same to me. It takes other people to say, yo, good job, keep it up, or man, you're losing it. Either way, right? You don't notice it because you see this every day. And so for me, it was a crazy time because gentrification wasn't a one-day thing for my community. It was a long, gradual, almost invisible thing that happened right in front of my eyes. And I remember literally just feeling sad. It was a cold day of reckoning, right? And I remember jumping out and going to get something to eat at New Seasons. People are looking at me. You know that look like, what you doing here? And I never in my life thought that would ever happen in North and Northeast Portland. So at the same time that I was feeling that loss, a friend of mine, we talked about generals, we talked about allies, we talked about friends. Jefferson Smith, one of my friends since 6th grade, was dealing with something in terms of some media loss in media space. So I'll let him talk about that.
So at the same time, we were seeing geographic displacement in this community and in communities, in urban communities around the country, we've been seeing media displacement. So starting in about the 80s, you started seeing consolidation of media, in particular radio. Around that time, you started seeing a loss of most of the black radio stations in the country. And radio still matters. You could buy one for $19.99, and your data plan is $0 a month. The last radio station that was sold in this market was sold for $6.1 million for the license. The last one that was valued at $4.1 million. That's not an easy thing to get. And when you connect that to community outcomes, you realize that with the decline in local radio and the decline also in specifically black radio, you start seeing reduced attendance in local venues, reduced attendance in black venues, and a disruption of community. Anthony's story playing itself out also connected East Portland, where I live, all over town, also in the media. And we started talking about the numbers. Anthony might want to talk a little bit about that, and then Ambush can also talk about it too.
So we're being real formal here. Jefferson came to me during this time and said, Deloney, I just started this thing called X-Ray Radio. I got an idea. Let's do a hip-hop station. And I was like, right? I don't want to do his way, right? It was like, I was like, no. I wasn't interested. I'm in my 40s. My kids, I have 22, I got 18. I wasn't interested. But during that time, I came back because I went home and I was thinking, what can we do different? I said, I'm not interested in a hip-hop station, but what I am interested is in a black experience station. Because unfortunately, the media has told us that hip-hop is your music. It's a part of my music, mess with that, but so is R&B, so is gospel, right? So is the slow down, so is, right, jazz, all these different things that are spokes to the black experience. And that's something to me, and I might be biased, but I think it's the best music on earth. I think so much of what we do and how we move as a society was built on that culture. So I wanted to build something that honored that and that uplifted that whole movement. And so Jefferson said, yes, sir. I'll do whatever you say. Kind of like that. and that literally was the birth of the numbers. And we'll pass it to Ambush. We'll talk about how we start the numbers and what makes the numbers different.
So I'm DJ Ambush. I'm an East Coast transplant, 26-year DJ. And my addition to the numbers, one of the things that I found extremely important was making sure that we created a space for local talent. as Jefferson pointed out before, with dissemination of venues. There weren't very many places for local talent to be able to be heard in their own city. Being able to do that with the numbers is extremely important. So the programming currently comprises of DJ mixes from local DJs, playlists consisting of local talent, as well as national acts. We have community information, but the thing that really drives the numbers and gets everyone extremely excited are our community playlists. The community playlists are comprised of artists, influencers, activists, people in the community that aren't necessarily attached to music, but they still have an opportunity to share their music experience with us. They do that by sending in 15 to 20 songs that serve as an inspiration. You know, what do you get up and work out to? What's that song that you listen to when you're way home and just, you know, refreshes you after a long day? So they give us 15 to 20 songs. They give us a drop, introducing themselves to our listeners. Throughout all of this time, we've been getting some really, really good feedback. Joanne, go ahead.
So that's the basis of how we do things. We don't have a DJ, right? We have these community playlists. And this thing has been kind of going. It's just been a couple of us trying to chug it through here. Great feedback that you saw in the last slide. Here's some of the limitations. It's a low-powered signal, right? So our signal's up on Rocky Butte. It's kind of how we named it the Numberz, right? It sounds really good over there in the Numberz. The more you come out over here, the worse the signal gets because it's the low-powered signal. Jefferson can talk a little bit about that. It's a non-profit station. So we always get the feedback, well, if you could just turn the signal up, it'd be much better. There's no button to turn the signal up, and the only wire costs how much? $6 million, right? So that's one of the problems. Other one of our problems is existing systems for gathering mixes is inefficient. It's a cool way to say, man, it's really hard to get that information. So we identify people who we want to, right, be a part of this, the commissioner, the president of this, got you. And so what we've been able to do is, right now the system is Anthony drives around in his car on his lunch breaks and collects this information from people who are very busy, very important, right? It's really, really hard. And so it's super slow, it's super time consuming, but from all the feedback that we get, it's some of the best stuff. Because at the end of the day, you don't have to be in music to participate in this. You just have to, we say it all the time on our station, you just got to be dope. You just got to be super cool. You got to be somebody that's moving the needle, and that's who we want to hear from. But that's really, really hard. So here's some solutions.
So at 96.7 FM, if you head just a little bit east of here, you can hear the numbers right now. The slide just before this one was the website. All it is a play button. That's the only thing they've got. The only signal they've got is broadcast about 90 watts off of Rocky Butte. Okay? So two main solutions, a website and a widget. We'll have a simple and more robust version of each. For the website, we want just a little bit more than a play button. That would include at least being able to archive content, at least be able to show what is playing, some updates, and some community information, what's happening. And then the big dream, with your help, is to build an advanced, expandable streaming radio piece of software with a user-friendly desktop input, track and broadcast, track metadata, live streaming and audio hosting, browsable and searchable archives so people can really be connected to what's going on, be able to access listener statistics, and an API so that we can share it with other folks and connect to web services that other people are building. That would be really nice. The second thing is the widget. Simple version, just a way so it's not just Anthony Ambush and other folks who are driving around, but a way to say, here's my playlist, I'm going to email it in. And here's what I'd like to see, and oh, by the way, here's a way to submit my voice, and this is this music that moves me. And then we play the best mixes. In a dream scenario, it would also be mobile optimized. It would have drop-down catalogs. You would look at songs, I want that one, that one, that one, and that one, and then put it in the order that you want. And then also allow people in the community to say, that playlist was sweet. I want to hear that again. I would say, no, but I'm a white guy. I wake up with who I am. And then to build a platform that could be shared with other places. We're a nonprofit organization. We want to do this in a way that helps the community more broadly.
So like we said before, we've been in the motion of this, kind of quietly doing this. We got this. So real quick, we have a couple examples of how this thing is working really good. On our station, you hear about PCRI being a first-time homeowner, right? You can hear about, when Nipsey Hussle passed last month, right? We were sick. We didn't know what to do. Man, we sat down and said, you know what? Let's put out some Nipsey and let's have an hour of Nipsey. Let's play that every hour on the hour, right? We didn't have to call New York, right? We didn't have to call anybody's headquarters because we were in charge of our stuff. And that's another crucial piece for us. And so we're connections with the Portland Art Museum, TriMet, as we talk about displacement. These are things that are actually working already. And so at the end of the day, all we want to do is keep this going. Here's some tweets from just people feeling this. We can go to the next one and wrap it up. And at the end of the day, the big dream is really creating this digital barbershop, right? The digital place where we can get back together. We don't have the physical space. And in all my years of reading about gentrification, I haven't seen anybody say, man, you're right, man, here's your land back. That's not happening, right? So in the meantime, come to the numbers. Because the thing that gets me up to keep doing this work is when people say, I turn on the numbers and it feels like it's home, right? It feels familiar. People from Philly, people from Houston, people that come here from Portland to work at Intel, to work at Nike, they say, man, this feels like home. So with your help, that's what we want to do. Help us build the numbers so we can continue to create that digital home. Thank you, guys.